Okay. Everybody got their film rolling here. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has joined us. He drives the number 88 Diet Mountain Dew National Guard Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. He's joined with his crew chief, Steve Letarte. Dale, good to have you back. Good to have you here at Martinsville. Talk about maybe just how things have been going since we last visited with you, I guess, in Charlotte a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been, just a lot of time off, a lot of time on my hands, but just exercising and, doing what the doctors told me to do and feeling better every day and just going through the process. It's, you just got to be patient and, let things happen. And I've learned a ton, just about what I've went through. Feel like I'm a lot smarter, a lot more prepared and understand the situation a lot better now than beforehand. So that's really good, and it's been a good experience. It's something I'd rather not have went through, but I've learned a lot from it. It's been good for me, and I'm just excited to be back, to work and get back in the car and get back to normal and get back to the life that that I'm used to.
Steve Letarte has joined Dale, crew chief, and I know Dale ran some laps the other day over at Gresham, and heard you were real pleased with how that turned out, Steve.
Part of the kind of sequence of events that the doc laid out was, the Dale and him had things that had to work through, but then from a team standpoint, they expected us to take a car to the racetrack and just run some laps, and we went down to Gresham. It's a nice little short track that we were able to run. I think we ran around 125 laps, and I thought the laps were great. The times were great. His feedback was as good as it always is, so that was really encouraging and excited to have him back here at Martinsville.
Very good. We're going to try to get as many questions as we can, so we're going to ask you to limit yourself to one question, not a 4 or 5 part question, okay? So we'll start here with Claire B. Lang.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Dale, what sort of support did you get from other drivers, from your fans during the time it had to be really difficult to get out of the car? What kind of feedback did you get from the fans and from fellow drivers?
Well, I really was kind of shut off from everything, but I got some text messages from people that, it was nice to know people were thinking about you, and, most of the guys that I, got contacted by were just wishing that, I was at the racetrack, wishing I was racing with them, and just didn't seem normal to not be racing with me, and I felt the same way. It wasn't normal for me to be sitting at home, but I had great support from the fans and my family and everybody.
Let's go to David Newton, Bob Pockrass, Jim Utter. Go ahead, David.
David Newton, ESPN.com. Dale, a lot of speculation out there whether you should have come back, maybe taking the rest of the year off. Did you ever even consider sitting out the rest of the year?
I left the table really kind of options open. I just wanted to, just like the decision to get out of the car in the first place, I wanted the doctors to make that decision instead of me. So if I could race, I wanted to be at the racetrack. It's what I love to do, and if the doctors felt I was healthy enough to do that, I wanted to be doing it. So, I've really kind of left all that up to them throughout the whole process, and I've been really honest and upfront about how I felt every day, and when we go through, exercises, how those are affecting me, and so I've been pretty honest, and so far they've been real pleased with what they've seen and feel like I can get back in the car, so that's what I want to do. I felt like I could race at Kansas for sure, and probably ran at Charlotte with no problem. And I feel foolish. I feel kind of foolish sitting at home, feeling okay, and not being in the car. Feels really unnatural. So if I feel good, and the doctors say it's okay, I want to be in the car.
Bob Pockrass, Jim Utter, Mike Embry. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Pockrass, Sporting News. What have the last 2.5 weeks been like for you? I mean, have you been scared? Have you been frustrated? Or do you just, it happened and you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah, just probably more going with the flow. There's been times when, it's frustrating because you want your brain to, clear up and the fogginess to go away and all the symptoms to go away. Every concussion is different. They're kind of like snowflakes, and everyone's different, and you react differently to each one. So like I said, I've learned a whole lot about it, and I feel good knowing what I know now about it and knowing what I've learned about it. But it's just been really frustrating at times. Regan did a really good job for the team. I told him that I was worried about the momentum we had built as a team, and he maintained that. I feel like that we didn't miss a beat, and I can get back in the car as if nothing's really even changed. So all that couldn't have went better. And it was kind of hard. It was really hard to see that your car out there running around turning laps without you in it. So that was difficult. But I just know that we had a really good test up until the tire blew at Kansas, and I was really expecting to go up there and run really well. So it was frustrating sitting at home and knowing how good a car we had and not being able to enjoy that with the team. But it's just you just kind of got to be patient and just stay in regular contact with the doctors. Once I got to know the guys in Pittsburgh, I was on the phone with Mickey twice a day, just talking about everything I was doing and everything I was feeling. So because I just wanted to do it right. I didn't want to take any chances, and I wanted to get back in the car as soon as I could, but I wanted to make sure it was not too quick.
Jim Mutter, Mike Embry, Shannon Spake. Go ahead, Jim.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. Dale, kind of as a follow to Bob's question, with all that you've learned in the last several weeks from doctors, maybe reading on your own, your approach going forward, will that change when it comes to issues like this, as far as how you look at another incident in the future, or what you may or may not do differently? Yeah,
absolutely. It changed the way I feel about it to where if I know that if I know I've suffered another concussion, or if I have symptoms after an accident, I'm definitely going to be a lot more responsible about it. I can understand people's opinions that they would try to push through it, or they would ignore it to stay in the car, and because I did the same thing in the past. But when some concussions are kind of light and the symptoms are real light, and that if you don't have another incident, there's you feel like you can get through it. But some concussions are really bad, and I don't care how tough you think you are, when your mind's not working the way it's supposed to, it scares the shit out of you, and you're not gonna think about race cars, you're not gonna think about trophies, you're not gonna think about your job. You're gonna be thinking about what do I got to do to get my brain working the way it was before. That's gonna jump right to the top of the priority list, I promise you. And so I definitely take it more seriously now after everything I've learned, and I'm glad I did what I did. I know that it's got I hate the attention that it got, and hate kind of being in front of you guys here talking about it. But I'm glad what I did, and I'm glad I did what I did, and I'm glad that I took the time off and made the choices that I made, and they were hard to make, but I had to do it. I didn't have a choice, and I knew that something wasn't right, and I was you can't layer concussions. It's really dangerous doing that. And it's, you read about it in the papers, and I was going through it. I was living it. So I had to make a choice, and I feel like I made the right one.
Let's go with Mike Embry, Shannon Spake, and then Randy. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Embry, Speed.com. Dale, how do you approach this weekend? Do you feel like you can get in the car here in a few minutes and be the old Dale, be 100%? Or do you kind of have to ease into the first part to kind of get your balance again?
Yeah, I feel like I've been out of the car for a year. I don't, it doesn't feel like a couple weeks. So, but I think we can go right to it. I felt good at the test, and I like this racetrack, and I feel like we can run good here, and I want I want to do a good job over the next 4 weeks. I want to run hard, and I want us to go in to every weekend trying to do what we've been doing all year long.
Shannon, Randy, and then Nate.
Shannon Spake, ESPN. Dale, you mentioned being shut off from everything, and just wondering if you could talk about the last 2 weeks, what you were limited to, as far as television, as far as contact with the team. What did you do during the last 2 weeks?
Well, the first 48 hours, they told me not to do anything, so I just kind of didn't do anything. I guess, I slept a lot, but, the no TV, basically just standing and walking around the house doing nothing. So it was really weird. But so I went back to the doctor, and I told him that I couldn't do that anymore, that I needed to watch TV or play video games or something. I need some kind of entertainment. And I went to Pittsburgh, and they put me on a physical and mental exercise program that I did every day, and that really made the biggest difference. It was really crazy because I went to Pittsburgh a mess. I was just really mentally in a mess, and the doctors up there, we talked for the whole day and went through these exercises and did a lot of stuff, and in 12 hours I felt really good. I felt completely different. I couldn't believe it. But it's been pretty normal the last 15 days or so. Have felt a lot better, and I'm, everything about my life is back to normal except for the driving part. I just haven't been able to do my job, and so I'm glad to be, doing this.
Let's go Randy, Nate, and then Monty. Go ahead.
Okay. Dale, you know Brad Keselowski. You still remember him. I'm not going to talk about your head. Let's talk about him. He drove for you. How's he going to hold up in this situation? A lot of people are saying, this kid, first time in this situation, he's going to crack. What's the pressure going to do? You know him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to crack. I think he's going to be hard to beat. I think he'll be a tough competitor all the way through. Brad's been waiting on this opportunity all his life, so I don't expect him to crack under the pressure. I think he'll be tough.
Let's go Nate, Monty, and then Hank Kurtz. Go ahead, Nate. Front row, please. That's all right. A lot of folks here.
Appreciate you coming, man.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Dale, you said you went to Pittsburgh feeling like a mess, and I know that the team release said you hadn't had any headache symptoms for like a couple of weeks, but
yeah.
Were there moments here where, like, up until you got in the car at Gresham and up until you actually got cleared Tuesday, were there moments you thought, like, maybe I'm not going to make it back, maybe this isn't going to work out? Or
Yeah, it's, the part of the two concussions, I'm trying not to get long-winded, but the two concussions were completely different as far as where my brain was injured. And as far as I can understand, what the doctors have told me, the first one at Kansas was your typical concussion where, it was, the frontal lobe and the headaches and the fogginess that you typically feel. And the one that I had at Talladega was vestibular is what they call it. And it's more in the back or the base of the brain where the brain and your spine sort of connect. So it banged around it sort of mixed up a lot of anxiety and emotional stuff, and so the symptoms were more like anxiety driven. And if I would get into sort of a busy situation, I just get a lot of anxiety. I was already that way anyways. I've never really been much on being around crowds and a lot of people, but so the two concussions were completely different. And so I was dealing with different symptoms, and, so when I went up there to Pittsburgh, I was just really frustrated. When I say I was a mess, I was just really frustrated. and having a lot of anxiety about, man, how long is this going to last? Is this ever going to be right again? I had no answers, didn't know anything. And these guys up there are the professionals, and I just asked them everything I wanted to know, and then we went through all these drills and exercises, and they ran me ragged, and it was a fun day. And by the end of the day, I felt like I understood what I was dealing with, understood what the process was, and I felt a whole lot better. I felt, and when I would, if I ever got any doubts, I'd just call Mickey up, and we'd talk about it for an hour, and really that was the best therapy for me, was just kind of understanding what was going on. But the regular, the typical symptoms of being foggy and having headaches, those are really prevalent in the first concussion, not so much in this one.
Let's go, Monty. Raise your hand, Monty. You got the mic. Monty
I'm over here behind the Black Forest. Monty Dutton, Gaston Gazette. Dale, you said that you had learned a lot about it and thought a lot about it. I guess many people have in the last 2 weeks. And I was just wondering about the fact that, in racing you can take some fearsome hits. But when you compare it to, say, football or hockey, a person might take 5 fearsome hits in one game. And so I just wondered what maybe you had learned, or if you thought about that, and the fact that you do have recovery time, does that make it a little bit less trouble you might get in this sport than in others?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I was surprised that I don't have any, statistical facts or anything, but I was surprised to hear how much more often the guys in the NFL have issues than we do. And we were talking about how many concussions I thought I'd had in a year, and it was somewhere between 4 or how many I'd had in my career, and it was somewhere between 4 and 6. And they were saying that some of these guys, most of the guys in the NFL, have that many a season. So I just can't imagine, and that'd be a scary situation to be in. To have to, the symptoms alone are frustrating, and trying to just go through your everyday life with that kind of, it's like I would compare it to like a computer that has too many processes running in the background. It slows it down, and it just doesn't work as fast. Programs don't start up as quick, and things sort of hang up in the middle. But that's kind of what it's like. But I do, and the way that the G-forces are way different for the different sports, and everything sort of happens differently in the event itself. As far as a race car versus a guy having a helmet-to-helmet hit, the event itself is quite different. The way the brain handles the trauma is different. But I feel like that our sport, we do have, I do have an opportunity to get back in the car probably sooner than you would on the football field, because on the football field you're going to go out there and you're going to run into somebody head on first opportunity you get. So you better make sure you got your melon in good shape if you're going to do that.
Let's go with Hank Kurtz. Hank in the corner, back in the corner.
Dale, Hank Kurtz with AP. With all you've learned and, the confusion and the anxiety and all that stuff, and just kind of the whole ball of wax of fear and whatever, does it make you feel at all like your career could be fleeting at this point, with layering? And do you worry that one more bad one and you'd have to stop?
I guess I don't really think about that too much. The one thing that I can tell you is that I definitely, I'm going to be honest with myself and honest with, the doctors, and I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do. I want to be able to, live a full life and, not have any issues down the road. And, but I feel pretty fortunate to have, recovered from this concussion rather quickly, and feel lucky that I made the choices that I did to give myself that opportunity. I think that had I tried to push through this second one, I would really put myself in a lot of danger. So, I think we can, just hope that I don't, have any more big hits for a while. And, race another, 5-10 years and have some fun.
Okay, we can take 2 more questions so we can let Dale do what he came here for, and that's getting a race car. But we got Jeff Gluck and then Steve Richards, and then we'll need to go. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from SBNH.com. What was the single thing you missed most about being in the car? Like the thing that you found yourself really craving about when you're watching on TV and the emotion that you felt? What was it about it that you missed?
The team, just working with the team, working with the guys. We've got a pretty good relationship, and I really enjoy working with them and being at the track and just going through practice, making a change and it working and everybody, getting excited about that, just that small improvement that we made. It's hard to put your finger on one detail, but when you're sitting there watching the race go on, I miss, hearing Steve and TJ's voice and, just being in the car and going through the process, being out there and competing, watching all my peers compete, and just wishing I was in the mix, being out there doing it. But just being around the guys, every one of my guys, we've gotten a great relationship built over the last couple of years, and so it's fun to race with them. It's fun to go to work with them.
Go ahead, Steve. Final question.
Steve Richards with PRN. I was wondering, growing up, did you see your dad having the same symptoms as you had after he took some hard hits? And you might have thought, you were concerned for him, or you thought maybe he should, settle down just a little bit, or how?
No, it's really hard to tell when somebody has a concussion unless they speak up and say something. So concussions are pretty easy to hide. So I'd never known anyone that had one, been around anybody that had a concussion and wasn't being honest about it.
Dale, thanks a lot for coming in. Good to have you back. Steve, thanks for coming in as well. Good luck this weekend.
I guess I am going to wear a new helmet this week, and I know that that's going to draw a lot of attention. It might not, but I had been talking. It's a Stilo helmet, and I'd worn one before. I didn't. I liked the helmet back then, a couple years ago when I decided to wear it back then. But there was a particular part about the helmet that I didn't like, that they weren't able to make an adjustment for at the time, so I went away from the helmet. Well, I'm going back to it, and this was all sort of in the process prior to all this concussion stuff, so I don't want anybody to really put 2 and 2 together thinking that I'm changing away from my impact helmets because of that certain because of the concussions. That's not the case at all. I've just been wanting to try the Stilo helmet since they made some modifications to it, and it's definitely not a final decision. I'm just checking it out because I liked it before. It's a nice helmet, but I've enjoyed my impacts too. But I'm gonna try this one out and see how it works. So I just didn't want. I've enjoyed working with Impact, and I do like their helmets, and I just didn't want them to get anybody get the wrong idea there. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you.